every period in time has its own challenges, presents its own challenges to the Khalifa who's there at that time. Which were the particular challenges which the third Khalifa rahimahullah had to take up, had to face?
Why is he interested only in the challenges of third Khalifa? Does he know about the challenges of all others?
Savez-vous à propos de tous les autres?
Not. I didn't want to ask for everybody.
Does he have a specific thing in mind?
Avez-vous quelque chose de spécifique en tête?
Yes. Oui, parce que j'ai lu des livres sur le premier calife, sur le deuxième calife, mais seulement un petit livre sur le troisième calife.
He said he has already read books about the lives of the first and second Khalifas, but he doesn't know much about the third Khalifa, rahimahullah. So he wants to know a bit more about the particular challenges which the third Khalifa had to face.
You see, I'm at a loss to fully comprehend the nature of this question. If he has not read about his life, his biography, then he should read it, because in this short space of time it's not possible for me to speak on the biography of Hazrat Khalifa. And as far as the challenges are concerned, the only one challenge which I know was the challenge created by the long protracted illness of my late father, or I should have said the second head of the Hindi community, Hazrat Muslim. Because after attack on his life by someone who stabbed him from there, tried to sever the jugular vein, which he could not with the grace of Allah. He survived that attack, but after a while fell ill. And because of the scar of the injury within, the blood circulation to the brain was not as open, as full as it used to be. So that used to cause sometimes brain fags, but that was a small affair. Ultimately, he was unable to walk straight because of the mental pressures. The legs are affected, and that is why during the last 2-3 years of his life he was bedridden. In that period, the Jamaat decided that there should be a Nigran board, which means a board comprising of all the Anjumans and some other Jamaat members, respectable members all members are respected, but who have been holding some positions like the Amir of Punjab, Amir of Karachi, etc., etc. So they were made into a board which was called Nigran Board. Apparently, what people thought was that Nigran Board had taken over as Khalifa, which is wrong, absolutely wrong. There is no iota of truth in that. Nigran Board knew its position, and what they did was that any matters which were sent to Hazrat Khalifatul Masih, before they reached him, they investigated everything threadbare. So only the essence was conveyed to him, the real essence of the issue, together with some important background. This person who is, for instance, writing against some Anjuman member or some Nazir, his history is that he is a crooked man, and he has not taken the right course of sending his application to you through that Nazir, that member of the Anjuman executive, and so on and so forth. So this matter was preliminarily prepared and seen into by the Nigran board.
I'm sorry, Huzur, I didn't get this bit which Huzur just said.
You see, if somebody had complained against a central Jamaat official like a Nazir of Southern Ahmediyya and had written directly to Hazrat Muslim Maud, it was organized so that that letter was sent back from the private secretary to the Nigran board, so that any wrong impression could not be created on him, because he was not in such good health as to take care of all small details like he used to do. You understand? So that is the reason why this creation of the Nigran board had become necessary. When this matter was sent to Nigran board, the president of Nigran board was Hazrat Mirza Nasir Ahmed Sahib. So as the chairman or president of I think he was chairman of the Nigran board, it was his responsibility to take the whole matter to Hazrat Muslim Maud and present to him all the facts. During such presentations, it was not necessary that Hazrat Muslim Maud would accept the recommendation of the Nigran board. Many a time I was present. So as far as his senses and intelligence is concerned, he was absolutely in full command. He was forgetful, like it happened in arteriosclerosis, forgetful of some facts before, a few days ago. But he could understand the logic of everything so clearly that sometimes the Nigran board failed to point out something which he did, particularly if the matter was concerning some member who was an old member whose life was very clear to him. So he'd say, no, I don't believe this. I know the man myself, and he's like this and like that. So this is what exactly happened. Now the challenge to Hazrat Mirza Nasir Ahmed was that people started talking against him, that he has taken Khilafat into his own hand. You know, which was absolutely false. It has no iota of truth in it. He was humble enough to understand his position. All he did was that he acted as president of the Nigran board and presented all the matters which had been thoroughly sifted by the Nigran board investigation in a sifted form to Hazrat Muslim Maud. So during his lifetime, an attempt was made by a son of Hazrat Khalifa Awwal to become popular in the Jamaat, particularly by cashing upon the name of Hazrat Hakim Maulvi Nuruddin Sahib. So all that was clear was that he intended to become the next Khalifa. Now this was understood by the whole Jamaat in the sense that nobody took care of him as such. But a few among the Murabbiyan and this and that, who were later expelled, and some rectified themselves, they were influenced by him because he especially met them with great love and understanding, and he walked along with them, embracing them, and so on and so forth. So naturally, he was a senior member, and everyone was flattered by his specific attentions. So he sometimes raised questions against embarrassing questions to Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Salis during the ijtimas which he presided. So that was one challenge which was faced by him. He had no ambition, but he was creating the impression that Hazrat Muslim Maud is promoting him to become the next Caliph. So the reflection was against Hazrat Muslim Maud, but because all such people do it in a very clever way. And they say Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani, the Muslim Maud doesn't know much about because he is ill. And he is manipulating things. So this propaganda was being carried out, but it was later on they used to say because he is, but I'm talking of before his illness. From then on they had started propagating against him, this special group. So it was not a challenge to Khalifa Masih Salis directly, but was a challenge to his person, with the allegation that he is ambitious and wants to become Caliph. So keeping this in view, he used to ask very embarrassing questions during his presidency of the session of Khudam al-India or Ansarullah. Once I remember, I was also there, and I understood his game. But at the same time, in that particular question, he was right. He spoke of a matter of order during the session. You know, during a session while it is being held, the president has to follow a decorum, a particular order, which Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Salis, would-be Khalifatul Masih Salis, forgot to take care of. And when he raised the point, because he thought he would do it only to embarrass him, he was about to take a strong position that, no, I'm right. When I stood up and clarified the matter and said that in this he is right. Now, this should be said to the greatness of him, that he immediately accepted my point. When I explained it, yes, you're right, I redress the wrong. Now, when this got finished, Khalifa Abdul Mannan Sahib is called, Abdul Mannan Sahib, he came to me and specially, embraced me and hugged me so closely and complimented me. His inner self was so bare, so ugly, that I took my hand off his hand. I said, look here, now I see you self-exposed. I did it as a matter of principle, and you are doing it with an ulterior motive, to throw me apart from Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Salis. He is our president. No question of his being brother or no brother. He is our president. You have no right to sow seeds of discontent between members of the Majlis and the president of the Majlis. So from then on, I broke ties with him. Whatever happened later on, I never held any ties with this man. So the challenges to Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Salis were created like this. But when Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani, that is the second head of the community, fell ill and was out of direct circulation, he used to come to lead the namaz less often because of his illness. He used to speak on Jalsa in short speeches, while previously he used to stand for many hours together. Even I heard his speech once which lasted 9 hours. Imagine. he will hurt you in these special qualities. So because of this change, after the stabbing and after this illness which followed, he had this opportunity of talking against Khalifa once again, that you see, he has taken charge of the caliphate, and the head of the community doesn't know much about things now, and in this period practically you are being governed by a person who has no right to govern the Jamaat. So that was the challenge which was faced by him. But the Jamaat did not pay any attention to him. He even sowed the seed of discontent against Hazrat Muslim Maud in later days. He said, look here, he is not being loyal to Khalifatul Masih Awwal. He was so courteous to him. He supported him while in all his life in a manner that he sort of groomed him for the next caliphate. And this is what he is doing to Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Awwal's own son. Now, simple-minded people may have been influenced by this, but people of deeper understanding consider it to be a reflection upon the character of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Awwal, the first caliph, in the sense as if he thought that caliphate is made by humans, against which he had pronounced repeatedly. He said, I tell you one thing, I was made caliph by Allah, and the next one, whoever it is, will be made by Allah. Neither I can do anything about it, nor you can do anything about it. So this was his father, and this was the son saying this. So in fact, he was speaking against his own father as well. But he was so ambitious. He wanted somehow to capture caliphate. Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani, my father, even in his illness, was very firm in principles. He did not care what people thought of him. He said, this man has to be ousted from the Jamaat now. Things have come to a head where his remaining in the Jamaat will be against all principles which I have been supporting throughout my life. He said, I oust him, and whoever wants to follow him, let him get out, and I do not care a bit about this. So a handful of people followed him, while he thought the majority of the Jamaat will come out with him and support him, because his argument was very sentimental about Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Awwal. See? No one followed. Even he went over to Lahori Jamaat. Now, you have asked a small question with a very large answer. That is why I was trying to avoid it. But let him, I think, maybe the whole time will be consumed by this one question. And poor ladies, they will be left without any time. Anyway, you better answer this, because this is a very important question. And for the newcomers, like many are, among them are, it's better that they hear it from my own lips.
Sa sainteté le calife a commencé en disant...
Now, despite all that I have said, I must admit that for a long time I had a very special affinity for this person, due to many factors. He used to come with my brother-in-law, Abdul Mannan, to our house so often, and he was a very close pal of his and an old fellow student with him at Aligarh. So I knew him personally more than my other brothers did. And Also, he was always kind to me, I must say. He had a special knack. He was a soft-spoken person. Seldom you would hear from him harsh words. Very polished and glib. And also, he was a scholarly man. There is no doubt about it. That he specialized in Hadith traditions, and he had read some very large collections of Hadith, and he specialized in that. So despite that natural inclination towards him, despite my respect, my break with him was based on principles. I could not break away from my principles at any cost. I was right, and it was proved later on. When he was expelled from the Jamaat, Khilafat, that is those who have become members of Jamaat Ahmediyya Mubayin, we call it, those who have done their bayat at the hand of the Khalifa. They are called Mubayin. Ghair Mubayin is that branch which later on had its headquarters built in Lahore. And Maulvi Muhammad Ali was the leader, the original leader of that Jamaat. So he later on shifted towards that Jamaat and became a regular member of the Jamaat, which was an affront to his own father, because Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Awwal, the first Caliph, throughout his life supported the institution of Khilafat against the rule of Anjuman. Anjuman is the executive body which was created during the lifetime of Hazrat Masih Maud al-Islam. But it did not hold any power against Masih Maud al-Islam's decision. So the same Anjuman was handed over to Hazrat Khalifatul Masih when he became Caliph. So some members of the Anjuman tried to establish the rule of so-called democracy and said, we hold this power. Hazrat Khalifatul Masih, his father, late father, spoke so strongly against these tendencies. He said, I do not care for them, even as I care for a bottle of soda water. They just are nothing to me. God has made me Caliph. He has put the whole Anjuman under my feet. So whatever I decide will go. Anjuman does not matter. There is such strong khutbahs and other addresses by Hazrat Masih Maud al-Islam, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Awwal, that once all the so-called members of Anjuman who considered themselves to be important, he spoke so strongly against them that the whole mosque turned into a wailing house. And he said, you must do your bath again. Your bath is finished after all this talk. So they had to repeat their bath. These were the views of his father. Now his son now propagating that Anjuman is right and Caliphate is wrong. See? So all principles were chucked overboard by him for the sake of self-aggrandizement, and promoting one's own personal interest or greatness of self-aggrandizement. So, but Allah knows what is happening in the hearts. He wanted to give a lesson throughout to the whole world who supported him, how small it was, but there was some world. to give them a lesson. He could neither ascend to the seat of caliphate nor to the seat of Sadarat in Lahori Jamaat. People became immediately, wary of what he was trying to do. And they took every measure to push him out. And even he tried to create a split within Lahori Jamaat and became the leader of one splinter group. Nothing doing. Nobody followed his intentions and his plots, and he was exposed everywhere he went. So these are Allah's ways. His late father, our beloved first Khalifa, was absolutely right. He said, I know if anybody has his personal ambitions, God will take care of him and he will be destroyed. Unfortunately, this prophecy got fulfilled against his own son. These are the Allah's ways. Right? You ask a small polite question and this is what happens, You have consumed the turn of all others except for him and perhaps him. Please continue. Very interesting, huh? Yes, good question, I must say. I'm only saying it, I'm not criticizing him deeply, I'm very happy that he asked this question because I think all of you needed this answer. It will be very difficult for you to pick it up from study of books. But as I know everything by heart, I can remember everything. So it's good to listen to me, to hear it from my own lips, right?